Good morning, welcome to a Calvinian architecture and to this lovely Mildura morning with lots of traffic going by. This morning I'm reading from 6th octave, 5th chapter, Olivia, and I'm reading you verse 3, which is the story of a house I wanted to live in. Verse 3. There's a house on the eastern corner of Canning and Carlton streets that for years, many years, has sustained me. I used to live at the northern end of Canning Street, right near Park Street, and after leaving the house each day, I'd close the gate behind me, look up, and see the dome of the exhibition buildings at the far end of the street. This dome had been modelled on the one Brunelleschi planned for Santa Maria Novella, Florence's cathedral. This was as inspiring at first sight in the mornings as anything I can think of. I'd make my way down there most afternoons, either to walk Argo, my dog, until he got too old. He loved that long walk. Or to look for a game of soccer in the Carlton Gardens with young Greeks, Lebanese and others. As I'd get closer and closer to the dome, I'd somehow get more and more despondent, because after all, it was definitely only the exhibition building, not Santa Maria Novella, and it would become irrevocably more so at each step. By the time I get down there, I couldn't keep up the pretense any longer, as the tinny cream surface of the dome loomed large before me. Its imagined glory had been brighter and greater when floating above faraway foliage and roofs than close up. So I would consequently turn my attention to that house on the corner. Its great advantage was that it had no pretensions to being anything other than what it was, a double-storied terrace house, but with wooden shutters. Now that was incontrovertible evidence of a very human need for privacy, intimacy, darkness, and during the day shelter from the harshness of midsummer light. I never inquired too closely whether those shutters worked or not, or whether they were just bolted down. I kept my distance and never moved to that side of the street. I never did see them shut, and the fact that they were there was enough for me. And the house did look onto the park and towards the dome, and was built right on the street and was made of stone. It needed nothing else, nothing further. I'd sit in the park and look at it, look at each blessedly fortunate individual coming in and out of it. Did they know they had shutters? I hoped to see someone opening a window, pulling the shutters shut, and then closing the window again. Or, better still, pulling the shutters shut and leaving the window open, so the slightest of breezes could blow in from the park and move softly over the skins of its occupants. But it never did happen. And one day, as I allowed myself to examine them closely, I realized they'd been bolted to the wall and condemned to the life of a constant openness. What a contradiction, I thought. Yes, shutters, but then bolted open to the wall? No less than a crime. I occasionally drive past these days. I still find myself glancing sideways, wondering, hoping to see those shutters moving somehow, hoping to see one or more of them finally liberated from their crucifixion, left askew because someone's hurriedly had to shut the windows from the inside. But no, always still there, frozen, open, condemned to a destiny of sacrifice as the redeemers of the passing strangers' dream life. Yes, the dream of having shutters has never left me. 6th octave, 6th chapter, laudomia, verse 3. Story of a house, once more. If you walk along the little street that takes you from Rovigno's main square up into the honeycomb of tiny alleyways that crowd the hillside, all the way up to the cathedral, you'd see a house, no wonder than 2 arm spans, built as a parapet, it seems, over the cliffs that the little streets follow as they snake along the contours of the meeting place between water and rocks. It's pictured in all the postcards. Its door is painted red, its window frame blue, its stone step yellow. I want to live in it. I want to look through the window, step on the step before I enter through that door. But Alex tells me it's not for sale, Domenico. Rovigno is now deep inside Croatia, but was once inside Italian-speaking Istria, that fertile promontory my mother was born in, and was settled by the Venetians over 1,000 years ago. It's November. I'm here with Vida and her brother. We eat pale pizza and drink even paler beer, sitting before a pale sun setting low in front of the pale-coloured water filling the harbour and the pale grey sea beyond. It will get cold as soon as that sun dives below that sea. We wander the waterfront in silence. The docks are made of hard stone and silent fishermen mend their nets. There's a melancholy that rises from the sea and comes down from the hills, meeting right here on Rovigno's docks. I look at the stone more closely. It seeps and weeps, a pale liquid. I bend down and dip my finger into a tiny, still pool where it has gathered. I put it to my tongue. It's salty like tears. I get down on my knees to inspect it even more closely. Is this what melancholy looks like? The sun's just set. Someone behind a half-closed door hums something sad, then stops suddenly as we pass. You might at times, if you've looked at one or more of these, wonder why I'm reading these stories. I'm not sure myself. It's mostly to reach out and share stories of yearning and longing with those of you who might have such feelings, given the conditions we're all living in. And so it's an attempt to ease my condition, and as a consequence to perhaps ease yours. I don't know if it works. And in the end, whether it works or not is no longer the point. I think the point is the reaching out, the intention, irrespective of its outcome. Although, of course, I hope the outcome is a joyful, insightful one for whoever bothers to listen to these stories. And they anchor my day. So I thank you for being there, virtually or not, to bear witness to my anchoring. Until tomorrow, 6th octave, 7th chapter, Perinzia.